All right. Wow. That's day 6. Dr. Iben, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Can you hear me?
Uh, yeah, I can hear you. Looks like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not the only one this code is getting to. uh, but yeah, it's really good to have you here. So just give me a couple minutes. Let me just, share it everywhere that we are live. Today again. How you doing? How's school been going? How your students doing?
Yeah, thank God. Just finished the semester, and it's been a
Maybe
wonderful first semester.
you would have opportunity to maybe share with us maybe tomorrow if you can join in, or even today we can probably create time for that, or now maybe some of the things you learned during grad school you are applying that now to youth like teaching. I don't know, I
Oh,
think that's something we can definitely touch on. So we are live once
oh, what time will it be
again.
tomorrow? Tomorrow is Sunday.
Yeah, tomorrow. Let me just confirm that. I don't want to, because even me, I seem to be lost in many schedules sometimes. So tomorrow is actually 1 p.m. CST.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
1 p.m.
I have
CST.
another meeting at that time tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I think it's been a lovely session from day one. I think I've enjoyed every bit of it.
Wonderful.
So let me sure. I don't know. They've done so many updates on WhatsApp that at this point like this, someone probably have to learn how to use WhatsApp now. Like there's so much update on the platform now. Okay. All right. All right. Also, apologies, guys, for starting the live late. Just a little bit of technical issues here and there, but we are good to go. So, just a quick recap, which is basically how we start each live. We started since December 16th, and we are one day left. We have just one day left to finish, and I'm really, really excited about the progress we've made up to this moment. So day one, we've looked at maximizing undergraduate days. This was really, really interesting. If you're an undergrad and you're seeing this, please, you want to check out that video and understand how you should prepare for life after graduation. And then if you've just graduated, you want to see this one because this allows you to take all your experience from undergraduate and the action steps you need to take and applying that to moving to the next stage of your career, or or decision, whatever decision you want to make. And then I think some of my friends, we did talk about finding the right passion. And I think one of the big conclusions from this event was the fact that sometimes we are the one that impede ourselves from exploring many options. So please do well to check out the video and learn more. And then we spoke about opportunities that you can apply to. A lot of scholarships are out there. Please, the best thing you can do is to apply. And then, as per advocate for America that I am, I had to debate all my European colleagues on why America seems to be a better place to study compared to Europe. However, I think one of the big conclusions we had was apply to both Europe and America. It depends on what you eventually get into. And then always consider what's your long-term goal to and then put that into like your application thought process. And here we are today, excelling in grad school. So I'm here with Dr. Ebenezer, who is a doctor in biomedical science, has a PhD in biomedical science, and is currently an assistant professor at Minor State University, if I'm right. It's called Minor State. Yeah, in Minor State University, and is into research and also teaching. And at least I've known Dr. Eben for a while now. So I'm bringing him in to maybe share nuggets with us on how he survived grad school and what he thinks is important in excelling in grad school. But as we always do, I think I'll start first and probably talk about what I think it's important in excelling in grad. I feel like I can talk to them at least to an extent. I'm a third year student, so I think at least I've experienced some things. I've experienced some things. So I think one thing that I think it's key in excelling in grad school, and that's something I feel is a big part of my own life, is relationship. Having very good relationship with the hierarchy, either in your lab or even outside your lab, the administrative staff. I don't know, those things are very small details, but trust me, they come in handy if you have them. And I think it's one of the key sources in. You can struggle for things you're not supposed to struggle for if you don't know that you could get them for free. And sometimes your professors might not have those information. It could be one of those administrative staff that have that information. I remember there was a time I was trying to do a presentation. I was trying to put a presentation together, and I didn't know our department could give us about render what's it called, license.
Account.
So I've always been using render, but then obviously if you don't have the license, you are very limited in what you can do, even if you design many things. So I just spoke to someone, they're like, no, you just reach out to this person, they'll give you the license. And I was like, is it that easy? Like, and then I reached out, and this person was like, oh yeah, you can have the license, and they just gave it to me. And now I have the license, and I just use it anyhow I want. And it makes my presentation looks better. It makes me look like a better student. It makes me look like a more serious student when I have those good animations, because now have a license. And so those things for me, they look very little, but I think they are very important in how you are being portrayed in terms of excellence. So I think one for me I would say is relationship. The other one I think when it comes to excelling in grad school is, I don't know, I would say this, but it's like allow yourself to be foolish sometimes. Uh, and because your foolishness will really bring you to more wisdom. That's the way I see it. If you, especially if you are someone that is very inclined with knowledge, you are. I remember you're actually a good case study here, because I remember there was a presentation you did, and I kept hammering you with a question that I was wrong. Like, it was a very wrong question to even ask at the beginning. And I remember I was like trying to defend my question, like, no, I think this question is right. And then I think GB was beside me, and GB was like, no, you are wrong. This is this and this is, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, I just made a fool of myself here. But then it helped me to understand the concept better. And I don't think, obviously, in that regard, in relation to that particular question, I don't think I've ever asked that type of questions again. So I think allowing yourself to be foolish would help you overcome like the imposter syndrome and some of those things you might have initially when you get into grad school. Just put yourself out there, ask questions, uh, be curious. I think that's the next one. Ask questions and be curious. Like, there's no way you would excel if you don't have if knowledge. And the only way you can have enough knowledge is when you ask the right questions. And asking the right questions really, really help. And they also portray you as a good student, as a curious student, as a smart student. And there's nothing you want more in grad school than for your PI or like your senior faculty members to see you as a reliable student, on a particular concept. They know you can talk about it and you can explain it. So for me, I think that's what I would say generally. I think I've really touched on the second point that we have for today. In terms of time management, I think I'm very bad on that. So it took me a while to really learn how to balance things because I'm someone that have very narrow focus. But in grad school, you need to learn how to do many things. So maybe this year I will hand over the mic to Dr. Iben, like I like to call him, because he had a family, he had he had PhD, he had ministry, everything was together. So maybe you can tell us more about how you managed your time in that regard.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Kristen, for the invitation, and to all our viewers. Thank you for joining. And myself and Kristen share so many things in common. And but maybe I should not talk too much about the stories.
Yeah, yeah,
But so many things, we stay in the same apartment for some time. And interestingly, we found out that we are later from the same base in Nigeria,
yeah.
and many things like that actually. And of course, he's a genius also.
Mike,
Many,
I'm
many, many,
humble,
many
guys.
people
I'm not the.
always envy him in the department. No, that's the truth anyway. Yeah, but so do you want me to talk specifically on the time limit now, or
Yeah,
just
yeah. It's more
okay,
like a
okay.
discussion. So
Oh,
yeah, you
okay.
can start with the time management.
The time management, right? Okay, yeah. I think
Yeah.
that in time management, the one thing that all of us we are set with, we is that we all have 24 hours.
Okay.
And either you are a multi-billionaire or you are struggling to make a dollar in a day, all of us spend that 24 hours. Nobody is having extra more minutes to his own 24 hours. And what I have discovered over the years is that the 24 hours is enough to do everything that we want to do if we will choose to use them judiciously. And I think that the first step in using them judiciously is to have a plan on how you intend to spend your day. Sometimes you can do this like maybe, okay, let's say averagely on a day, I want to use 5 hours to sleep. I want to use 10 hours to do graduate school. I want to use 2 hours to read other stuff or probably pray or go to church, whatever you want to do. Or maybe you have a party to attend, or maybe you have a social gathering that you want to attend to. So you can have so you need to clearly define how your average day will look like
Should
within
should
these
go.
24 hours. That is just a general description of your average day. But every day when you wake up, or a day before, some people prefer to do it in the evening before the following day. In other words, before they sleep at night, they reflect on the days. I mean, on that particular day, they look at, okay, what have I done today from what I have planned to do? What is left to be done? Then they calibrate for the following day. In doing that calibration, they decide on the things that they will do the following day. So they already have a to-do list. But some other people like myself, we prefer to do it in the morning when we wake up. Usually for some of us that we pray after our prayer. So we have a plan. Okay, today I have to do this, and that. I have a to-do list like that. See, one of the things I realized about having a to-do list is that it keeps you on track. You don't have to forget what you think you should do. Because sometimes you can say you know it in your head. And then when you do the first task, the second task, they'll be like, oh, I think I'm done for today. You think you are done, but later you now realize that, oh, I was supposed to do this, I never did it because you
Mm-hmm.
never put it down. But if you have where you write it down, one, it will keep you at pace because you know that you have like 7 things to achieve today. You won't even think of, the energy will come, the drive will come
Yeah.
to be able to achieve those, whatever you have listed that you want to do today. But if you don't have a list, there's really no drive, there's no sense of compulsion to do it. And so in managing time, one, we must realize that we all have 24 hours and that is enough for us. It's enough for you to have adequate sleep.
Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's enough.
Well,
I'm serious. Sometimes it doesn't feel
I
like it's enough.
I remember one time that I was giving this kind of talk sometime ago, and I have to show people that even with that 24 hours, if you still want to be having 1 hours, 2 hours to play, like to just have fun with your family or to go out for on a date, you can still have it. And yet
Oh yeah,
you still be able to spend, let's say, 10 hours on things that have to do with your career. In this case, graduate school. Because if you're in graduate school, that's a career, that's a career, right? So you can still
at that
spend
moment,
10
yeah.
hours every day on the career and still have 2 hours to have some fun, still have like 5 hours to sleep. This is still within these 24 hours. We probably still have like 5 hours that we have not touched at all. But the
So
problem
you
is that,
think so you think graduate students should be sleeping for just 5 hours?
oh, yes. I mean, I think generally that, well, I used to say this that, I know medically they say that you should sleep for like 8 hours in a
8
day.
hours. Even
But
doctors don't sleep for eight
I used
hours.
to, yeah, I used to say that even those that say it, they don't do it. And
It's just recommended, guys. It's recommended. You're not
yeah,
supposed to follow it.
no, but really, I don't even think that God planned us to live that way. You know what I mean? Because, like, I was thinking yesterday that suppose I use 2 hours every day on social media. At the end of the year, I will have used 1 month on social media. Right? If I use 2 hours every day, because 2 hours is two over, that is 1/12 of a day.
Yeah.
Which means that if I use 1 year, I will have used 1 month of my lifetime, of that 1 year, 1 month to do social media. The
If
same
I
thing
to
with
take the
sleeping.
statistics, I think most of us would have used like 2 months out of this year on social
Can you
media like
imagine?
this.
So then we say there is no time. And then if you're not sleeping for 8 hours, that means that after 1 year you have slept for 3 months.
See,
Yeah,
I feel like the concept
no,
of
no,
time, when you start to
in
put
fact,
value
that's
on
four
it,
months. That's 4 months. That's only 4 months.
the concept
Can you
of
imagine?
time, it's the moment you start to put like this kind of metrics on it,
Yeah,
you start to value it more. Like,
and I think that
obviously,
makes sense.
like when you run your day, it's so easy to spend 1 hour on WhatsApp, like just catching up with
Yeah, of
messages. It's
course.
so easy to be on Instagram and you're going from one page to another, like watching funny videos. But then you are not putting it into a metric of, okay, I think I just spent 1 month. This is I'm just
I have to be
spending one
pushing
month
that
in the
somewhat
year.
to myself. I have to be telling myself that 2 days ago that this WhatsApp will be thing or whatever. Yeah, for me, it's usually WhatsApp. If I use 2 hours every day in a year, I will have used 1 month. This guy, what's going on? I have to tell
I think
myself
me,
that.
sincerely, I guess I think I've used like 6 months on WhatsApp.
So we realize that we have
However,
time, right?
yeah, I think we have time. I've never believed that there's no time. I just think that you can, how will I put it now? You can create room for, like you said, I think Pastor preached a message uh,
Number
close to
number your
that.
days.
Yeah, number your days. And I remember after that message, I had to go back, and that was the first time I really started to put so much conscious effort into really allocating time slots for everything. And
Yeah,
sincerely, that has been so helpful.
no,
Like for
shit.
example, I know I have to be live by 10:30. So if you really want to put, like, come and get me to do something for you around 10 or something, just know I'm going to let you know, no, like you're going to eat into my time,
Yeah, yeah,
that
exactly,
I
right.
need to come. So it really allowed me to be able to tell people like, okay, I think what when I'm free is this time to this time. I sleep this time to this time. This is when I do this. And then that way I can even be more effective with you, like when I want
Yeah,
to come and talk to you. Because I know the time I've allocated to you is for you.
yeah,
So when I'm with you, I'm using it effectively. I'm not going to try and do something else in most of the time. But I think, yeah, what you mentioned, I think when people start to look at time in the concept of an holistic concept, that if you use 2 hours per day, it's a long time thing. It's going to end up, unless you're making money from social media,
of
then
course.
you can just, yeah, then you
In
can
that case, that's
justify
become
that.
your this thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then you can justify, for example, that me being here, it's not a waste of my time. Like, it's something that I'm using to educate other people. So
Yeah,
I'm not wasting my time. So if you can really put value, and I think that's one thing I'm trying to do now. I know I like to be online. I know I like to be social. Now I'm trying to put an extra value on it that doesn't make it like a waste of my time. that even if I'm on WhatsApp, I'm there doing something so valuable that either it's making me money or it's adding to me. Not
Yeah,
necessarily that I'm just there to catch up with status and all those things, stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
Like I think that's the other thing you can use to balance it. You know that when you maximize how you use your WhatsApp, maximize how you use your page, like just make it more valuable. That it's not a waste of your time. If, for example, if I'm someone that I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube, and sincerely, that was one of the reasons I was like, I spend so much time on YouTube. Why can't I have a YouTube channel? I'm serious. It was one of the factors. Aside the fact that I know I've been doing this with people I never had a YouTube channel, but then I was like, I spend so much time on YouTube that it could be more valuable to me if I actually have a channel. Like I'm watching these guys that have their own channel. I'm the one like commenting, liking everything they do. But then I think I've been doing this long enough that I could also have a channel where I can talk to people and people can actually learn and then make effective use of my time.
yeah. And that
So
way
yeah, I think that
you're
yeah,
making impact.
yeah, I'm making better impact and I feel more confident in myself. But so now let's talk about like how did you apply that into maybe family research? Because I think those are like the two main things for you. I don't really think coursework take too much of your time. I think I don't think so.
Yeah, so I think that again, like we said, that this issue of scheduling is important, scheduling things that you want to do. And also, as much as possible, it's good to not kind of over compartmentalize your life in the sense that, for example, I have to be intentional in carrying my wife along in my research. It does not mean that she knows what I'm
She's
doing
going
in
to the
my
lab with you.
yes, or maybe she knows what I'm doing, but at least she is well informed, like she knows how things go, so that she can understand me. And because she also, I mean, she knows she's also doing her own graduate school, so is she's able to understand that she. So I think the idea is that first and foremost, it should be once you do that daily task, the daily task of having your day planned, you know what time you'll be able to stay with the family, like what time you'll be away in the lab, what time you'll be probably go for an event, whatever you want to, that may interest you. Once you're able to do that scheduling, it will help you a lot. And integrating everything is just a matter of you just carrying once you don't make that compartment, because when you are at home, even though you are at home, sometimes the thought of lab still come to your mind, right?
Hmm.
But if you have allowed for your wife or your spouse, or I mean, like whoever may be in the case now, to be part of the idea, I don't have that compartmentalized life, it will help a lot. I know I don't only just do like you mentioned before that I do
Yeah.
I also get involved in ministry also. And apart from that, there are also other things that I do. Like for example, now in my secondary school alumni association, I'm the chairman, and that is even taking my time also. So if you think about that, no, can you imagine? So, but if you think about that, all of these things are taking time. But the only way I could combine all of them is first and foremost to have proper communication with my wife and to not necessarily, I don't know how best to describe it, but I don't have a compartmentalized life. Sometimes I
Like he's
integrate,
very involved in what you're doing in your science, so like in your
yes,
research.
yes, yes. So I try to carry everyone as much as possible.
While you were talking, another my boss came in. My guy at the top,
Ọwọ́ méjì for
Dr.
your call.
Gbolahan Dangoshe. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning,
I
sir.
apologize for being late.
No, I thought, sir,
I had a lot.
all power belongs to you. All
Wow.
power belongs to you.
Good to see you, boss.
Who else is coming?
Who else is coming? I think I'm expecting a couple of my friends to join us here, but mainly we are here to learn from the both of you. We are here to learn from the two
Let
of
me
you.
first accuse you. All the people you are expecting, are they all men?
Are they all? We are live. GB. And
GB won't give us ladies to join us.
I did invited ladies and most of them declined. So that's not my bag.
I mean,
Like it's,
you should have made
yeah,
sure you could get one of them because
I,
the
I
experiences of women, it's sometimes different in grad school, especially women
true.
that have children, right? I mean, Ebenezer would agree.
Yeah, very true, very true.
Yeah,
Very
I did
true.
try my best, but the people I could lay hold on, they couldn't make it. So
Okay, no
that
problem.
that I would probably honor for. So for people that are watching us, we are not sexist. We just
Yeah,
couldn't get females to join.
you are not anti-feminist.
Nah, I'm not. I'm not. Nah, I guess I would not put my stand out there. We are like,
Yeah,
but welcome, sir. And I think the topic we're actually focusing on when you came in was time management and
yeah.
in grad school and how to really use that to excel in
Mhm.
grad school. So I don't know, just share some wisdom with us.
On time management,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I mean, your primary goal of being in grad school is to do well in grad school. So every other thing is secondary as far as I'm concerned. Anything besides family, your friends, your mental and physical health, and in some cases, even your religion, everything besides that is secondary. So, I mean, you just have to do the work. And especially in the natural sciences, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of back-breaking work, a lot of going to the lab at odd hours, right? I mean, it doesn't mean one should be a robot and not have fun, right? Because I mean, there is there's a good chance of falling into that kind of routine where you are just going to lab all the time and you are just studying and you have time for nothing else. That's not what I'm saying. But I mean, your main focus should be, doing the work, being in lab, reading papers, talking to people who can help you with your research. Yeah. Then, of course, you should find time for friends, family, your mental and physical health. So, because I mean, if you are not healthy, you can't work. I mean, it's as simple as that. So,
true.
I think
I
that's
I,
it.
I think something you just mentioned now that I think I've had multiple discussions with my PI on this is if you're not LD, you can't work. I
Yeah,
remember there was a time I really got into the routine of like just go to the lab, spend like 9 hours stretch on like the microscope, and like by the time
yeah,
I get back home, my eyes are like burning bad because I'm like just under the microscope trying to get images and stuff like that. And then I remember there was a day because you have to log in the time you used on the microscope.
yeah,
So she's been monitoring it for like 2 weeks, and she was like, there was a day she just saw me in the lab. She was like, Christian, don't ever spend the night in school again. I don't want you using this microscope this way because you are going to end up breaking down and you're not going to do anything again. And since that time, she always monitors me like you don't use more than 4 hours. Finish what you are doing and just go and rest, and then you can come back and continue. Like don't spend time just trying to burn out on it. And sincerely, I think, like you said, it's so easy to fall into the routine of burning out that you think, oh yeah, I just want to be there. Let me just keep doing this thing, go back to the lab, feed these animals, uh, do inject, take images, run PCR, and then you don't know that you've lost track of time. And then you also miss out on important relationship because I think sometimes people say obviously. 'Cause some people will be like, "Oh, you have to sacrifice some friends for success and all this kind of thing, those
no,
kind of messages." But I
no,
don't think it's worth it.
no. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, another thing I forgot to mention is sometimes we also overlook, eating healthy, like eating good food. That's also very important because when you are like so busy, it's very easy to fall into the routine of eating
junks.
garbage and junk food and
And America is your friend when it comes
yeah,
to that.
things that are not good for your body, right? So yeah, also eating healthy is also important.
Yeah, America is your friend when it comes to eating junks,
Yeah.
eating bad food. There's no gathering without donuts with sugar on top. Everything creamy, cheese. How do you want
The
your
good, the
cheese?
better.
Yeah.
I think I was one of the people that fell into that trap early on,
Yeah.
and because those things are very how would I put it? They are addictive and they are high on sugar. You think you need it because you are working long hours. So your brain actually feels like they are good for you at that moment.
Yeah.
So your body just wants to consume those kind of things, and then afterwards you're like, okay, this thing will kill you, like literally kill you. And obviously, this country they're ready to pump money into diabetes because obviously I don't know they are grooming people to have it, whatever. That's probably a talk for another day. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, mentioning that I think it's really important. I don't know, maybe you guys can give maybe personal examples of maybe scenarios where you had to uh maybe choose between spending a personal time or continuing a research, and then you had to like say, you know what, this research I've filled enough gap in knowledge. Let me just go for my personal life. Were there conflicts of interest? Basically, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I
At some
mean,
point,
Lisa, go first.
Uh, I think you should, I think you should go for
you
because
guys should not push it to each other. I beg this. You guys, you guys
GB
want us to get into
is the
our
boss
wee wee.
in. No, honestly, GB probably be in the best position to
All right,
because
okay, Jimmy, in that.
because for me from time I have never, this may not be applicable to everybody, but I have never placed the research above my personal life. Like, by that I mean that I do research, I go to lab regularly, I do that, but I can't say I overstretch myself. But I have seen instances where GB stretch himself and overstretch himself. So I think it will be the best to
So you're not a good
share that
student.
to share that experience. No. I mean, like I told you, I should do my thing, right? So if I say I'm working from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. If I'm not able to achieve that goal on that day, well, if I can stretch, I can stretch, but I don't mind postponing to the following day. Like, and again, this,
even even there was something GB told me
okay,
that was very funny. GB said the way he went to lab, that if God had said he was going to live for 90 years, that God will have removed 10 out of it.
the way DP went to lab,
Yes.
because he spent so much time there, right? I'm telling you
That's
now,
so funny. Like,
even even on Sunday, I used to go to lab, right? And I wasn't doing that. I mean, there were some Sunday I was in lab, but not many Sundays. Maybe very few Sundays, very
yeah, I
very
think
few.
natural sciences is just a bit tedious when
But
it
DB
comes
will
to
be in lab on
research.
Sundays. So I see. So
GB, defend
he
yourself.
has his thing to do.
I mean, it really depends on the kind of project you are
True.
on, right? And what you also want from it. That's just basically it, right? I mean, I wouldn't advise anyone to follow my routine, right? It was a routine that worked specifically for me. I mean, there was a time I was going to lab every day, Monday, Tuesday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? And what also helped me then was every time I went to lab during the weekends, my boss was there, right? From morning to evening. So I mean, it was
So you
You're
can
like, what will I
imagine.
be doing? What will I be doing at home?
So you can imagine. But
so
meanwhile, my boss never showed. Even during the week, he may not show up.
yeah.
So I have
So
to be
I
self
mean,
motivated.
yeah. So it was kind of like motivation.
Course.
We were like kindred spirits, right? Because I enjoyed doing the work. I mean, nothing made me happier, right? But I think people should definitely take weekends off when they can, right? But I mean, you know how research goes. There are times where it's
That
not
time needs to be,
it's
yeah.
not a bank job where it's like 9 to 5. No, there are times where you definitely have to go in during the weekends, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think anyone should make it a habit of going in through the weekend, right? And I mean, if you are, I mean, I believe most of the people listening are Nigerians, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, Nigerians are they're generally very religious, so you should make time for church and other activities. I didn't
Yeah.
have that problem because I'm not religious, so it was very easy for me to just, go in on Sundays and
Pastor GB.
Reverend, Reverend.
yeah, and whatever. Yeah, but I mean, people should, make time for like family, get some rest because it's very easy for research to bleed into every other aspect of your life, right?
Hmm.
Become like a zombie. You definitely don't want that to happen because one thing you realize is no matter how big your research problem seems, right? Nobody cares. To your friends, it's not important. To your family, they don't really care. They don't even know what you are talking about, right? So yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, no one really cares about your research except maybe your PI and you. So, and I mean, if something happens to you, you get replaced. So yeah, it's important
I,
to.
I I think it's that fact. I think that's something I really had to consciously tell myself that yeah, if something happens to you, you are getting replaced. The worst that would happen, they would just feel sorry for you.
Yeah,
Like that's like the best thing that can happen to you
yeah,
in that scenario. But if someone else is going to join you, like oh yeah, there's a project that's been pending, like you can pick it up,
yeah,
and then they just give the person your lab note and life continues.
yeah. In fact, the way academia goes, even if you did all the research, right, generated all the data, right, if someone else, makes the figures or writes everything, writes the whole paper, there's a great chance in many labs that they'll be the first author. So
Hmm.
yeah, so you shouldn't kill yourself for
True.
for a lab or for a PI. But it's important to work hard because if you don't work hard, believe me, you won't get any results. It's just it's just the fact.
So, what, I mean, I think the question I'll ask now, what do you think is the role of, because, I mean, we've mentioned this, if you're in grad school, you are literally like, in quotes, a servant to your PI. Like,
Hmm.
in quote, that's literally like the way it is. So, what do you think is the role of PI, or how do you manage that relationship with your PI to be able to still be effective? Because, like you said, in your own case, your PI was coming on weekends. We have PI that they are working up to late 11 p.m.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So, how do you effectively manage those kind of scenario where if you want to get out of the lab by 7 8 when you're already done and your PI is still there giving you one bombastic side eye because he is still running Western bloods and you're like, oh god, me I'll go my house.
yeah.
How do you manage this kind of relationship where you just have this over exacting boss, like, let me put it that way?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I have to say or clarify is that my PI never forced me to come on weekend, right? He never even suggested it, right? So he came on weekend, and I just also like to come on weekend. So I mean, that was just it.
Oh,
He
okay.
he never had like oh, you need to
You need to come.
leave at 7 p.m. or he never said that. So what we had a system. We had, regular lab meetings, right? So if you've
Yeah.
not been working, your secrets will be revealed. It's as simple it's as simple as that. So he doesn't care if you come on weekends or not, right? He just like to come on weekends. But I mean, to answer your question, I think the first step will be to uh uh join the right lab, right?
Mm.
Many
Yeah.
people, it's like, oh, I want to join a lab where the PI is nice, or I mean, I think that's a bad idea, right? You want to join a lab where the PI is fair. That's what is important. Fair, not nice, right? Because you need someone, who is going to challenge you, right? But also be fair. That's basically it, right? So, I mean, if you join the wrong lab and you have a boss who is, trying to like micromanage you. I don't really know what advice to give because I never had that kind of
That kind of
experience.
scenario.
Yeah, I had friends that had bosses like that, and I mean, yeah, I can tell you it's very difficult to overcome that kind of dynamic. It's very difficult, right? I mean, people
Yeah,
still find,
and I also think that just to quickly put in
Especially
that,
as international students, right?
yeah,
I think that even puts you in a very difficult position with people like that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, people still, find success here and there, but it's not an experience anyone should want in grad school. So the first step will be, during your rotations, joining the right lab. Yeah.
And if you
Iben, you wanted
mistakenly
to say
find, yeah,
something?
I just want to say that because sometimes, people are scared to start over again. But I will say that if you eventually join a lab and feel like it does not work well with you for whatever reasons, it may look like I've lost some time, but I tell you that it is still better for you to, as soon as possible, retrace your step by changing the lab because you don't want to be having a sad experience for 4 years. So if you have only used one semester there and you only lose one semester, it's better than for you to say you want to endure it and endure
Mm-hmm.
that hardness for 4 years. And some of these people that have that kind of attitude, they may not even release you after that 4 years. They may still want to use an extra 1 year, extra two, that kind of a thing. Because those who have that kind of attitude could have some unrealistic expectations. Now, like DB rightly said, I mean, you can't say you want to do graduate school and not want to be hardworking or be looking for somebody that will spoil you. In fact, you should be self-motivated on your own. But with having said that, if you happen to by chance find yourself in a PI that you know that is a okay, let me just give an example. I have a friend who is done now, but he found himself with a PI that was very, very difficult. In his own case, what he did was that he sent message to the graduate school, and the graduate school had to communicate with his PI. And from that time going forward, I think he kind of got the liberty to tell the PI when things are going out of hand. That does not change the fact that he was still very, very hardworking. But at least he has the courage to say when some things is within his ability or some things are just totally too much for him.
I
So
just feel your friend was lucky because I think in some scenarios, if your PI is like a principality and power in the department,
like the
if
graduate
you make that
school,
kind of move, it might be your demise. So as an
Yeah.
no,
international
that
student,
the request is in the graduate school, not the graduate coordinator of deployment. It's from the graduate school. I don't think. Well, I don't know, but that was his experience. He talked to the graduate school. The
or
graduate
GB,
school.
what do you think about what I
No,
said?
I mean, it's this kind of, it's like a, case by case basis, right?
Yeah,
Because
it's very
I
case based.
believe Ebenezer is right, right? But I mean, in our case, right, we had a very supportive graduate director, Tad, right?
Hmm.
If you had like problems and you talk to Tad, I mean, that problem will most likely get solved, right? We also are, the grad school was also kind of supportive, right? But
Hmm.
there are many programs where students don't,
Have that
Yeah, yeah,
liberty.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where they are very
yeah,
isolated. Yes.
yeah, where even the grad director is like your number one enemy, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so it's something that it depends on the specific um how do you say this?
School
Like,
or the
The
yeah,
student in
school,
the
the
scenario.
school or
or
the
even the
program,
PI. Yeah, I think
yeah,
I
or
think
even the
it's
PI,
very
yeah.
program specific or the PI,
Yeah, so
and
that's why, the first step is, even if you are in, I don't know, a program that is not that supportive, that's why, choosing the PI is a good PI is very important.
Yeah, yeah, very
PI that is
important.
fair.
In
That's the
fact,
beauty
once that
of
one is
rotation.
solved, many things will be solved.
Yeah, yeah. Because even if you are in a toxic department and your PI is great, your PI will be the one defending you, fighting for you.
shielding
Yeah,
you from, yeah,
Yeah.
shielding
So
you from
yeah,
those
that's
stuff. Yeah.
important of rotations. That's important of talking to people in the lab before you join the lab, and that's also the importance of talking to people that have left the lab. Right. So yeah.
I think uh talking to people in the lab sometimes might give you because those people still have something to lose. They are still at stake with that person.
Yeah.
But if you can get someone that left the lab to talk to them, they already left, so
Yeah.
they don't have much to lose again. They can tell you what's on their mind about how they feel about that person. So I think that one is a good one. Like if you can reach out
and,
to
and I
someone that
think
already
sometimes to
left the lab.
one need to be sensitive to the people in the lab because sometimes they may not tell you affirmatively. Like they may not want to be direct.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
your own personal ability to be able to decode what they are telling you is important. I remember I was doing a rotation in one lab at the time, and the person, of course, later on, I found out that it's not exactly as bad as the person presented it, but the person told me in an indirect way that, hey, what are you doing here? I tell you that lab, I didn't tell them I was leaving when I left. I didn't even say I was leaving. The following they just don't see me because I was not going to risk my life for 4 years staying in the lab where this is 4 years, so you know, understand, 4 years. Every day I wake up and I'm thinking about, oh, my PI, or that, like the people will say that the problem of research itself is big enough to think about.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
want to add another thought
That,
of
that, that was
PI.
that was what I was about to say. That grad school is hard enough. The last thing you need is a crazy PI.
Yeah, I don't want that at all. That's why
I
even if
guess
you are, I maintain that even if you have used 1 year in the lab and you feel like this is not the right place, you can still leave. It's better than to be enduring and be
this,
suffering for 4 years.
just
Yes,
okay. This is like an internal gist. So our online audience, I will apologize. You might not understand this, but we have like a third year student who actually just left a PI to move to a new lab. No, what am I saying? A fourth year student left a PI to go to a new lab.
that's too late. Yeah.
So that one now,
And
why wait?
it
Why
was a
wait
lot
that
of
long?
drama. Why wait that long? Yeah, that I guess that comes back to the point of there's no smoke without fire. She should have left when there was smoke.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
like,
mean that for international students, there's I don't know, for some reason we are always afraid. There's always that
And it's Tinubu now.
there's always there's always that fear that, oh, if I leave this lab, what's going to happen?
What next for me? Yeah.
Who is going to take me, right? I mean, that could be a problem if your graduate director is equally terrible, right? But
True.
if you talk to your graduate director and he's supportive, please find a means to leave that lab ASAP before
Yeah,
it's too
because
late.
I remember I had a discussion with someone recently, and the person was like, "Oh, my PI is doing this, is stressing me, is doing this." But then I had an opportunity to work with this other PI, and I did great there. He's even ready to teach me more things and do. And I was like, "Why can't you leave and join him?" And he was like, "No, I can't leave." And I'm like, why can't you leave? He even told me his organ does not have funding. And I'm like, wait, what are you now waiting for? Like, this other person has funding, likes you, likes your work, is teaching you good stuff, and you still don't want to leave because, like you said, the fear of what next, and the way the department has kind of been structured does not really allow that kind of transition for them. And then they just get stuck on like with this bad PI in that scenario. Now, the question I would ask is, how do you know a good PI or a fair PI in GB's word? How do you, for maybe people that are still doing their rotation or people that are already in a lab and they are still assessing their PI, like, how will you pick a fair PI, like, if you're doing your rotation? How you know that this person is fair?
Yeah, I mean it's you first you talk to people in the lab, right? Try to figure out, what kind of person this is, and most importantly, you talk to people who have left the lab, right? I mean, that should pretty much tell you all you need to know, right? And you also talk to people around the department, right? The bad PIs,
Everybody know they are bad.
everyone usually knows them, right? So their reputation is out there, right? But I mean, if you are doing the rotation, see how they treat you, right? Are they being fair? Do they encourage you when you are down, right? It's the small things like that, right? Yeah, it's not really something that is
That deep, Abby.
difficult, right? Yeah, I mean, Ebenezer has a good example of.
Of
oh,
the spectrum.
yeah. I mean, like, yeah, that was what, like, I was saying that I think I did like 5 rotations because, and to me, even though that time looked like I was wasting time then, but I think I'm happy that I went through that process, and eventually I got to a lab where I can have peace of mind, but that's more important to me. That peace of mind is important. And back to what GB was saying about asking people, I want something that, and don't think that maybe you are different. or that maybe no, it's me, they're not hard working, that's why the person were treated that way. Because there's a way that you can have some kind of positive attitude, that those positive attitude could make you to think that maybe those people are not were not hard working, or maybe you feel like, this man is talking so nice. All those things will not, if you are hearing people
All
telling
those things
you,
will fade away.
all those, if you're hearing people telling you that these people, this lab is
Oh,
not a good place, it is better you take that advice, even if it means compromising. Sometimes you may have to compromise the lab you want
your
to join,
research area. Yeah.
yeah, your area, because like I came to the US wanting to do microbiology, immunology, whatever. Eventually, I didn't end up doing that
End up in
because the people who were in
neuroscience.
that, yeah, all those things. So even if you need to compromise sometimes, I think it's better than to go through that suffering, except if you want to just change school and
Yeah.
move to a different school entirely. Which you may lose a semester two or a session, whatever, but it's still better. I have a friend who was in Texas, is it Texas now? Yeah. And he was having this kind of peculiar PI. What he did is that he just did his master and pause, changed another school for his PhD. Because normally master research should be like a semester or maximum of two. So he did the research and he moved to a different school, applied to a different school for his PhD. That
Yeah.
was what he did in his own case. My point is that never think that things will change if you can see that it's wrong now. Quickly think of alternative and take action. Either to
Yeah.
change to another lab in the same school or to go to a different school, however you want to do it. You can't afford to have 4 years of suffering.
I
Your
mean,
mental
what
health.
what you said now reminded me of something. When I applied to the program, I was really interested in immunology, right? And I really wanted to do immunology, right? And in fact, in my SOP, I wrote the names of PIs that were like experts in immunology, right? And I mean, there was one lab I thought of doing a rotation in then. I won't mention his name, but I mean, I later discovered that this guy is crazy. So I didn't do a rotation there. And there was another lab. It's they've left now. I think husband and wife immunology lab, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they were a bit more tame than the other crazy guy, but I did a rotation elsewhere first. I was like, oh, I'll go do a rotation there, right? So I had to use an equipment in their lab, right? Then I saw the husband shouting at postdocs, like he was screaming at the top of his lungs. And I knew, what will he do to little old me
To
today,
graduate student.
right?
And you're not black.
And I immediately crossed their lab off my list.
Run, no.
Ebenezer knows the lab I'm talking
Oh,
about,
sure,
husband and
sure.
wife, right? So then, I mean, at the end of the day, I joined, an epigenetics lab. This when we were doing what's the
Orientation.
classes, right?
Oh,
It
okay.
was epigenetics I hated most. And that was for another reason because of the people that taught it, right? I mean, Ebenezer knows
Oh,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah,
about,
yeah, yeah.
right? But I ended up
So
joining.
many inside jokes, guys, but just enjoy the gist.
I ended up joining an epigenetics lab, right? Because the PI was so fair. He was a decent man, right? And I just had to avoid that toxicity from those other immunology labs. So yeah,
Yeah, I think I mean it's so important that you understand the PIs before, because for example, we are not mentioning names. We listen, we don't judge. I remember there's one of the guys I did my rotation with that sincerely everyone that did rotation in his lab like was frustrated, like legit frustrated. Now, not because like it was so bad that when you present to someone and this person just makes you look like a big fool, like, and he doesn't mind where he's doing it in front of big audience, small audience, he doesn't care. He's going to make you look like a fool, and it just became so difficult to really get through that. I think now it has really reduced.
That's already a
Maybe
signal, right? That's
yeah,
already
maybe yeah.
that's a big danger sign.
That was one of the big signal that for me, like I didn't join the
I
lab.
won't finish
Sincerely,
there.
there was a day. There was a day. Now I didn't even join the lab. This was like this is person we just shared the same lab area, and I remember my PI had taken us out at the end of the year in the lab, and we're coming back, and she gifted us something, and I was trying to get my gifts to my bag to keep it, and this man was like, "Oh, all of you missed the lab just to go for an outing," and I was like, "Sir, it's not your money we went to spend now." Like, why is it so? And he
Your lab
said
is not
it,
serious. You people are too
yeah, like
playful.
that was literally what he was saying. Like, why did you guys have an end of the year outing and your PI is giving you gifts? And I'm like it's, I'm like, what I say, sir. So I think really, really understanding that people before you commit to them is so important. Sincerely, like you cannot be overemphasized because they're like the alpha and omega of your graduate school journey. So you don't want to really put yourself in a bad position. And I think one thing Dr. Iben said that is important is if you think you are in a place where you can change, please take action to change. If it's to maybe take a new step to go to a new school or maybe master out like and then start another PhD or change your lab. And don't be scared to do it. I think like I don't know why we have that fear. Maybe because we're international students, but there's always that extra fear of what will people say or what next for me, that kind of a thing. If I drop out of this, or what if I, you have to extra 3 credits in it every semester before your visa go, and everybody don't want. I'm avoiding Tinubu by all means.
Yeah.
So I think that there's that fear factor into some people's funding is totally like I have PIs that literally hold funding, they lord the funding over their students. I've had PI send emails to my friend, like someone that had defended his masters, graduated, and I think the guy got paid the month he defended. And this PI like sent him an email that you need to come and work for the money you got paid for. And this guy had defended his masters. Like this guy has defended, he had even done graduation. And because he got paid, this man was sending him an email to come and work for that money. There are people like that. So, guys, we are saying this to say if you can make changes, please do. I'm serious. Like that when I heard about that, I was like, okay, this man is something else. Like this is just on another level of I don't know. We like say being insensitive to people. That someone had already defended. He's been working with you for like 2 years plus, and the only way you could let him go is for you to send him that kind of email to say, hey, you got paid to bi-weekly. Come and tell me the justification for that payment.
Yeah.
So please, I've heard a lot of drama in this church while, and what about your colleagues? I think that's probably the part we'll talk about to round off is how do you maintain good relationship with your classmates, senior colleague, junior colleague? How do you do that? In this case, I'm saying maybe you're a fifth year student, you have obviously third year, fourth year student, and then you have 6 year student, 7 year student, depending on your school. How do you maintain good relationship with everyone, like across board?
I
Uh,
mean, it's just just by being yourself, and being friendly, being approachable, talking to people, right? As Nigerians, right? Some of us, we're always like, these people, their culture is different, right? And
mhm.
some of us don't know how to, relate with them. But I mean, it's definitely something you learn, over time, right? And yeah, small talk is, really it's a big thing here. People will ask you, oh, but the weather looks nice, like, like things that to an average Nigerian is like, this is stupid. Why? Why?
I thought, I
You know
thought, I thought,
I'm
I thought it should
laughing.
be obvious, right?
You know I'm laughing. Just yesterday, when we were talking about Europe and America, that was exactly the same example someone gave about America. That the one question they ask is the weather is nice.
Yeah.
Like I already know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why you asking? Or they'll talk about their dog or whatever, right? Things that to a Nigerian seems ridiculous, but you need to understand that you are in a new environment, right? And this is just their culture. This is how they talk. So you need to get on with the program and talk to people. And if there is any outing, you go.
Hmm.
If people are going to like hockey or whatever, or like basketball
Basketball,
or
yeah.
American football, right? Go have fun, right? Don't be like, oh, this sport sucks. Oh, like, why should I go? In fact, you'll find out for the most part, it's not even really about the sport. It's about the ambience of the environment.
Hmm.
So go talk to people, and if and don't be afraid to ask questions, right? I mean, when I was in my fourth, fifth year, I if there was someone that knew the answer to something and the person was like a first year, second year, I was never afraid, or I didn't let my ego get in the way of asking
Where, yeah.
them, how do you do this, right? How do you do that? But relate with them, try to learn about their culture, right? And it's also important to know that in general, I mean, from my experience, Americans are not as secretive as we are, right? So if there is anything you don't want
You don't want to know, don't ask.
spreading like
Or you don't want to be
wildfire
spread.
about yourself, right? Keep it to yourself, right? Don't, tell people. It's not like they mean harm, but
Yeah.
they are just more
Once
open,
they hear, they can spread.
right? Like, I mean, just a good example is like, yeah, it's like, your wife is pregnant, right? As a Nigerian, it's not something you know,
People say, yeah.
take a megaphone and start, announcing to everyone, right? But for them, once you tell the average American, oh, do you know Christian's
So
wife
so
is
so
pregnant, right? Because I mean, it's just the culture here, right? And I mean, to them, it's good news that should be shared, right?
shared.
I
Yeah.
mean, it is good news, but in our culture, it's different, right? You just don't tell everybody. And in fact, you realize that later, if they discover maybe your wife is pregnant or you had a kid, they'll be offended that, why didn't you tell me?
That reminds me of when my wife gave
Right.
birth.
So, I
So
mean, you
I,
just need to understand the culture differences and, know how to like,
I think even wanted to share on when his wife gave
yeah,
birth.
yeah, yeah. I was
So
talking about when my wife gave birth. No, first and foremost, my peer was not even aware that my wife was pregnant. Then when she now gave birth, I didn't even say it, but I think I sent a message to the postdoc in my lab, telling him that telling him that my wife gave birth. Almost like few hours after, I just got an email. Congratulations, blah 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 blah. But you can keep a secret. He said I'm very good at keeping secrets. And I said, oh no, I wasn't keeping any secrets, blah 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 blah. I just have to find a way to explain it. Just corroborating what DB was saying that because if they find out that you didn't tell them later on, they can take it as you are keeping something from them, maybe you are not free with them, blah blah blah. And like you already said, it's just who they are. They have nothing to keep, nothing. Like they don't keep
so
anything.
I think now that we've gone to the subject of culture, uh, what about the part of in Nigeria? There's no way you call someone
But
that has a
please,
PhD
um,
by name.
but hold on, Christian. Before I go to that next
Yeah.
question, I'll just quickly say something that DB was saying that's
Oh,
very,
okay.
very, very important, and that has to do with asking questions. That will help a lot in many ways. In many ways, it will help in your research. It will help even in your personal life. I remember at the point in my own research, I wanted to do microRNA analysis. I don't know, and I was wondering why is this data like this, blah blah blah, and I just met with one person. I asked the person question. Do you know that with that few minutes interaction with that person, I got like I was able to solve that problem within 1 month. And this is something that I've kept for 6 months. I've not been able to do. So the issue of asking questions, and one thing that I think I also can commend an African American for is that they are always eager to help. Like if you ask questions from them, to be as if they are, as if
Waiting
you are
for you to do.
yes, as like the way they will be willing to help you, willing to provide you with the necessary answers. Oh my, it's amazing. So asking questions that GB said, I don't want to emphasize that point that is extremely important.
Yeah. I think
And
we mentioned it in the beginning too.
like you said too, that maybe you should let your ego go out of your way and ask. It will help a lot. Asking questions is important. Asking your subordinates, asking those who are above you, asking and I mean, like, just ask questions. Even if you like we were saying that even if you look like you're a fool, right?
yeah.
Just
I mean,
still
you're allowed
ask.
to be foolish just
Yeah,
once,
yeah.
and then you move on. GB, I was given the scenario where I think at that time I've never really understood how people put like the RNA seq data, and I remember Iben was presenting in the department then. I was sitting down beside that. I was like, "What Iben is saying is not correct." I think Iben had this log two fold change something whatever,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I kept
I know,
arguing
right?
with him, and then you're like, "Christian, you're wrong. Like what you have explained does not make sense." And that really helped me to like get better in asking like questions. I think it took me a while, but the moment I got my uh confidence to a level, I've never been shy in asking questions. Like in, my, in the department now, it's like someone presenting that everybody's turning their eyes to where I'm sitting. I'm like, guys, I don't have questions.
Like what's the next question, right?
Yeah, like I don't have questions for this person. I don't have questions. Yeah. So, what I wanted to point out on culture, which is something I think I still struggle with, is in Nigeria, you cannot address your supervisor, your
Yeah.
lecturers as name by their name. For example, if your lecturer is Dr. Kunle, it's Dr. Kunle. You cannot say Kunle. But yeah, you see a professor emeritus telling you that, oh, call me Susan, call me Victor, call me this. That thing never sits well with me. And I remember recently I ran into, I won't say like a trouble, but then the her expression to me was not very comfortable. You could see from my expression that she didn't like it. So I had seen her, I think it was like a get together, and I was like, oh, Professor so, how are you doing today? And then she was like, no, call me this, and she was very affirmative about it. And I literally avoided that throughout that event because I was not comfortable just calling her by that name that she said I should. So how do you think you navigated that coming into the system, and maybe where you are right now, you're even more integrated into the system now. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know, but for me, yeah, I mean, definitely anybody from Nigeria, we have the same problem. But as soon as I saw that that's what they are doing,
You joined.
I know it is acceptable, right? Like for example, even when I was applying for the my current position, one of the committee head who was communicating with me, I used to address her Doctor Alex, Doctor blah blah blah. One day, she just sent me a message and say, "Call me Alex." From that day, I know that I just, I mean, that was even something that I've never met physically. Like we just keep talking about how to come for an interview. But she just said, call me Alice. Like she replied that message with call me Alice. Okay. So from that time going forward, I adjusted. Right. Even though if I still want to send her an email, because email look like a formal communication setting, I still use the doctor, whatever. But other than that, any other that is informal or whatever, I go by the name that I mean that's the culture. That's culture. And just matter of adjusting to that reality. Yeah. And even me now, per se, I think I've gotten used to that there that I don't know about GB, but I don't even remember to put that in my name when I'm writing my name. Even if it's Nigerian stuff, I don't even remember. I've gotten
Yeah.
used to it, right?
But I'm sure GB had lived that life because as a son of a professor, I'm sure you know nobody can come and nobody can come and tell your dad that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was quite easy for me, I guess, compared to most Nigerians, because I mean, I've always hated titles, right? So, and it was a very easy transition. I was like, oh, call me by my first name. I'm like, great, that is perfect, right? So, yeah, It was never a problem for me because I think titles are stupid, and I just never liked titles. I mean, even till today, you will never see me call myself doctor, whatever. Or if I mean, there are people. I mean, that put it on their Twitter profiles. So, I mean, it's. I mean, I just don't.
PhD, MD,
Uh,
MSc.
I know. I just don't get it. So yeah, that has always been easy for me. Calling people by their name. It doesn't mean you are disrespecting them, but
Hmm.
but I understand because in Nigerian culture, you shouldn't, call elders
Yeah,
by
I,
their
I
first
I
name.
think I mean it was. I remember like with my supervisor. I, I think one thing I do with my supervisor, obviously, it might be wrong or right, but because my supervisor is not like an American, so she came from like she's Indian, so they are very cultural too, and they have like it's a very similar respect system to like African also. So I remember when I joined, I had that conversation with her. I was like, for now, I don't think I'm very comfortable calling you your first name. Like, I don't feel comfortable at all. Like, the minute I say it, my body's already cringing. So I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to address doctor. Like, and she was like, okay, it's fine. Like, you don't need to. But then I have my colleagues that come in and they're like, oh, they call her by her first name and she's like fine with it. I mean, she's very okay with it. But I think I just had that communication with her. Like, I don't think I'm okay with it yet. The minute I get okay with it, I would do it. I would call you by like your first name. And welcome, Victor. Victor, thank you for joining us today. So Victor is in Swedish Institute, if I'm right, and is also a big bioinformatics guy. So I guess, and then I've not given time for people to introduce themselves. I think we're just going to do that quickly. For people that don't know, I'm sure most people know. For people that are watching, my name is Christian Abosede, also known as Arakurindare, and I'm a third year PhD student at the University of North Dakota, studying epigenetics. Victor, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself, and then we'll go to two of my guys here.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Victor. Currently, I'm working as a bioinformatics scientist in Lund University, Sweden. And I am an alumni of the Swedish Institute Scholarship for Global Professionals, in which I was I was like a former vice president of the board at the time. I'm also a I'm a computational biologist as well. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody the Duke. Iben, I think I would like let you go next.
Oh, okay. I thought you already introduced me when I was
Oh,
coming on
you
board, but
introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. I didn't put
okay,
on the
yeah.
CV. I didn't
Oh,
put pastor, doctor.
yeah. So my name is Abiodun Ebenezer Odufuwa. So most people call me Ebenezer. Um, I also did my PhD in University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Sciences in biomedical science. And currently, I lecture at Minot State University in the US. Yeah, so I lecture and I do research. My research is in cell and molecular biology. I mean that's a broad word, but that's how better
That's the
I
how
can.
short you can keep it.
Yes, yes.
Okay. GB.
Yeah, I mean, my name is Dolan Banbushi, and I'm a postdoc at the Huntsman Cancer Institute. I mostly work on I think cancer epigenetics, mostly single cell stuff.
Single cell. No,
Yeah.
we talk after the after this, because that's like the next phase of my life right now. That's what I'm preparing for. But I think it's been very great discussion. Victor, I don't know. Today we've really spoken about time management, having effective relationship, and I know you guys in Europe tend to do things a bit different, one way or the other, compared to US. So maybe you can just share experience in maybe how you've managed your relationship with like mentors and even your colleagues. while you were studying and currently now while you are working? And then also maybe give us a little hint into how you manage your time, uh, balancing every area of your life. Because I see your Instagram, you go out a lot. So how do you have time to jay like that?
I mean, talking about going out a lot, everything is funded by my principal.
They are funding that kind of lifestyle. I think I'm in the wrong place. So.
Everything is funded by my principal investment. So, I mean, every now and
If
then,
people see the lifestyle I'm talking about, I'm serious. Everybody will want to come to Sweden.
yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before, like there's this, you know, thing in Sweden about work-life balance. They always try to find a way to for you to balance your life aside from work,
Wow.
you know. And I so many times I've seen a couple of my colleagues that sometimes they will just call in and just say, okay, you know what, I'm not coming to work today. I have to take care of my son. I have to take my son to school, or so there's something that the teacher asked me to do. I
Is
have
the school in heaven? Why is it taking them the
you
whole
know,
day?
so and there's also the situation whereby your boss kind of like trusts you to deliver, you know. So there isn't too many push around like, oh, have you done this? Have you done that? So the thing is, they just leave you. They believe that you're going to do the work, and at the end of maybe every week, you just come around and just report things you've done, do presentations and things like that, you know. So coming to time management, the truth of the matter is, I mean, for me when I came here, it was kind of because when I came as a master student, right, to
Yeah.
study, and I'm telling you because and another thing, I don't know if it's the same way in the US. There's a lot of emphasis on self-study here in Sweden, so you probably will not get a lot of help from your professors. So
Mm.
every most of the things that you're going to do is based on what you read or what you studied, you know. So, I mean, going to class or going to lectures is just for them to just tick that, just to cross that T and dot the I.
Yeah.
You know, it's not really that important. Most of the time when you go to lectures and sometimes the professor, even if you ask the professor some questions, they will tell you they don't know. Go and find out, and they are so honest about it. They will just tell you they don't know, you know, and I should go and find out. So there's a lot of emphasis on self-study, and for you to be able to do that, it's important that you're able to manage your time, you know, because then you
Mm-hmm.
have a lot more of work to do compared to, for example, in Nigeria where you get everything that you need to do from the lecturers. Most of the uh,
Just read the handout.
yeah, just exactly. Most of they'll give you handouts and things like that. So you need to do a lot of research. You need to do a lot. You need to visit the library a lot, do research and things like that. So and then that calls for you to be able to manage your time. So now the thing is, I don't know if it's this. I haven't really been to North Dakota, but I believe that North Dakota probably also experienced a lot of darkness. Like
Darkness in what sense?
no, I mean the weather, like
Like
Oh,
that longer nights.
longer
Okay.
oh
nights.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Bro, it's like minus 16 right now.
Oh, okay.
We are freezing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, and then most of the time you find out that it's really difficult for you to kind of like fraternize with people, socialize with people, you know, because of the cold weather in Sweden, people tend to be indoor. A lot of people tend to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you are all, and there's also issue of you having to deal with your mental state as well in that situation. And for someone like me, because I mean, I'm a Nigerian and we don't really have like a big Nigerian community in Sweden, you know. So it's kind of very difficult for someone like me now to kind of find a time to, you know, socialize with people and things like that. And so then managing your time is very, very important. So for me, what I do is that because when you start researching and start studying, you can actually lose the time, you can lose the amount of time that you spent on certain things. So what I do is that I plan my day. I mean, I actually plan my week, what's going to happen the next week. I plan the week, what's going to happen if I need to go to class, if I need to come back. Okay, I'm going to study for 3 hours. And when I do that, okay, I'm going to take a walk, you know. And if there's sunlight, I can also walk in the sunlight to get some shade of sunlight and things like that.
I
And
think I just want to say this.
mm,
I think being open to change is probably one of the easiest way to survive grad school. Because, for example, in Nigeria, nobody takes a walk. You're already walking. You're already,
One
you're,
thing, like, one
you're
thing that
already working.
one thing that I actually really, really did that kind of like helped me out with like mental capacity was actually going to the gym. I never did that in Nigeria, you know.
Yeah, like I think being open to change is a big thing. That going for walk, I sincerely, the first time I was here, and then one of like my European friend was like, "Let's go for a walk." I'm like, Marco, I wanted to, please, man, I don't speak Yoruba. I was like, why don't I just leave my house, get on the road, and start walking? Like, why?
Yeah.
I know GB is looking at me like this guy is from a village, but sincerely, that was my first expression when she sent me that message. It's like, let's go for a walk. I'm like, I can't just stand up in my house and just be going for a walk.
Yeah,
But then gradually, it starts to dawn on me like those things actually help.
yeah,
Like those things actually make sense. Like it's something that you found yourself in a new environment. You just have to do cycling, hiking.
yeah,
Like for example, like how will you just stand up and want to take a stressful hike on top of the mountain? Sincerely, like that's the way I think about those things. But now I even went fishing this summer because I just feel like it's something you have to start doing. It's something you have to get engaged like into and stuff like that. Just to add to the point of you saying you go for walks, I think it's really nice. I see walks as a nice thing now. It's just that it's minus 16 outside.
yeah. Dude, to be honest, while I was back in Nigeria, if someone had told me that, that's
You
probably
will go for a walk.
it wouldn't make any sense to me, to be honest. It wouldn't make any sense to me. And many times I find myself walking in the woods in the forest because Sweden has a lot of beautiful nature, So I find myself walking in the woods, just listening to the sounds of the birds and things like that. And it helps me to relax, you know. Funny enough, it helps me to relax. And sometimes when I'm just
If you are in Nigeria, don't do this. You know those, those disclaimer. Let's put it out there. If you are in Nigeria, don't do this. I heard kidnapping is like one of the lucrative business in Nigeria. So please don't work in the woods in Nigeria. Just to put it out there. Don't try this at home.
don't give Nigeria a bad press, I beg.
Oh, okay. Nigeria is the one that is giving itself bad press. I'm just stating the facts.
Yeah, so I mean that's
But
how
I
I
think GB wants to say something.
walking in the woods in, in Nigeria is
You
definitely a bad idea.
like sincerely, yeah, it's bad. Don't do this. Don't
Yeah,
try it. I beg.
yeah,
So Victor, I think that I mean that's but you plan your week. How do you do that? I think
yeah.
that's a share some insight into that.
Okay, so we were provided this particular software where you can actually, just the same way like you have sticky notes and things like that and planning your week and all that. So the thing is, we have that. They provided that for us during grad school, and they kind of like find a way to include all your classes in those days. So if you wanted to do any other thing, you can include it into that particular software. So
Okay.
yeah, so it was easy for me to do that. So every time when it is time for me to do something, then I just get a beep that okay, it's time for me to do this, it's time for me to do that, it's time. So I was able to do that throughout the week, plan my time if I needed to study for 2 hours, because truth of the matter is if I don't do that, there are times when I actually study beyond the time I'm supposed to study. Sometimes it's like 2 a.m. in the morning, and I don't even know it's 2 a.m. in the morning. And I also need to, go to class maybe like 7 or 8 a.m. the next morning, and then I look tired and all that before going to class. So it's important to manage your time and also plan the time, what you need to do and how you need to get it out best. Yeah.
No, okay. Yeah, I think you made a good point there in making use of tools that can help you manage your time effectively. Sincerely, I think I said this yesterday. No, not yesterday. I think it was 2 days ago that it's this year I would say I really knew how to use calendars. Sincerely, like your calendar is just there, and then they tell you, "Oh, register for this meeting," and that meeting is automatically added. But then you're not using it for any other thing else. But this year, I think I've really put in conscious effort in like I can actually like block out times of. I already know there are some events that are constant for me throughout the day, throughout the week. So let me log those events into my calendar and then see what is free. And then with what is free, I can then plan other things that are more personal. I already know some school activities are free. So, and that really, really keeps you in check in terms of, okay, you've not done this or you've missed it a day before and you've not done it now. And you're trying to catch up with those things and like make changes. Uh, is there anything else?
And I think it's also quite helpful because the truth of the matter is it depends on where you find yourself. You
True.
can easily get carried away by what is going on around, and you need to, and this is very, very important in grad school. It's very important that you're able to manage your time, especially for people that maybe have this habit of procrastination, you know. So, yeah, so it's important to do that. You need to be disciplined, you need to have that self-discipline. And if you cannot self-discipline yourself, then at least that's why you have the tools to help you out in
True. Like, yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like, if you can use the tools, it helps to just maximize those tools. Sometimes I even set timer like, okay, 30 minutes. We are not doing like we're zoning in on this work, getting it done, and move on to the next thing. So I'm just going to take, I guess, last comments, and then we'll call it a day for today. Thank you guys for coming. I really, really appreciate you taking out time to be here. So, GB, any last words? I there's one advice GB used to give me. Then I have to say this for people that are watching. I remember when I first came into grad school, and the first thing GB would write, and we had like a WhatsApp group, Victor, and then GB would write, "If you are failing, make sure you fail forward." And anytime I wake up, that comment always comes in my head, like, okay, I'm failing, but then how can I fail forward? But yeah, that's one of the many nuggets that GB has dropped for me. I'm not going to share everything. So
uh,
GB, any last word? Any not last words? Any
yeah.
last comments for today? I beg.
Well, I just wanted to say because
Oh, okay.
because the fact that I did my grad school in Sweden, so
Yeah.
I know it's definitely different to the way it is in the US. So the way the educational structure in Sweden is
Mm-hmm.
established is that they try to make sure that everyone pass. You know, I know in the US it's a bit different.
No, failure is allowed.
It's a
Is
bit
allowed. Is allowed.
but in Sweden, actually, if you fail once, you are allowed to take the course again before the semester ends. You have another chance of taking the exam again, for you to pass. So they are so invested in making sure that all student passes every semester.
Yeah, yeah. I think, at least based on my experience, I think it differs from school to school in the US or from programs to programs, on how much grace they give to you uh, to fail. Let's just put it that way. However, one thing that is like as constant as K is that if you are below 3.0, you are gone. That one is everywhere. There's no dig the grave in the US. If there's graduate school in the grave in the US, if your CGPA is below 3.0, you're gone. So that one is a constant one. But in terms of failing a particular course or not, I think they give leeway to, is the course a borrowed course? Is it a prerequisite? They give leeway to all those kind of things
Yeah.
to determine whether you would be gone or not. So that's what I probably just say to that. So GB, let's have you.
I mean, I think if you have like a C twice in the same course, I think you get on probation or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean the topic for today is excelling in
Grad
grad
school.
school, right? So I mean, like we've discussed, right? It all starts from joining the right lab. Uh, if you've joined the wrong lab, it's going to be difficult, right?
If the foundation
And
be destroyed,
if you've also joined the wrong lab, it's also not too late to
too late.
move to a better lab or another lab, right? And it's also important to know, there are two sides to this coin. It's easy to say, oh, all these PIs are bad, right? And if you are not doing the bare minimum or you are not doing your work, all PIs will be bad. That's the truth,
True.
right? So it's important to be hardworking, right? Not at the expense of your mental or physical health, right? But it is important to be hardworking. So once you're hardworking, once you join the right lab, I think it's not like it's going to be easy because research is difficult, right? But I mean, you would only have to worry about research instead of
Yeah.
worrying about everything else. All right.
Uh, Assistant Professor Ebenezer.
Yeah, I think what I will just add to what has been said as a final word is just that in the midst of all the orders, all the challenges, because challenges, sure, do your best to enjoy the process, whatever that means to you as a person. Because to someone like Christian, enjoying the process would be that creating time to go for gym, creating time to go for party.
Basketball.
Yeah, I know, things that, but another person just be going for having time to sleep, having time to, another person may be that having time to play game. But make sure that you don't just, you don't like, just enjoy the process, even in the midst of the challenges. In fact, sometimes when you have great time to enjoy the process, it helps you to process even the research. It helps you to rejuvenate all of those things. And when you have some challenges, don't think that that is peculiar to you. It's not
Mm-hmm.
peculiar to you. I was reading somewhere on LinkedIn recently that I can't remember exactly what I read again, but it's something like saying that if you're a PhD student, don't feel like if you are weird, then you're doing the right thing. That if what you're doing is not clear to your PI or in the first 2 years or whatever, or it's not clear to you in the first 2 years, don't feel like it's just basically saying that don't feel like you are in a wrong company if you are even if you are not making sense to yourself in the first 1 year or 2 years. I remember when people were telling me that the first 3 years I have no data. I used to complain like you. Then it looked to me like it looked to me like they don't know data. Oh. But you know what? I was in the same shoes in the same shoe too. The first 2 years no data. In that scenario of no data, I still went to Nigeria to see my family at that point because I prioritized that. And so I went. That has to do with what we were saying initially about having to sacrifice school
Yeah.
for family sometimes. So what I would say is that by all means, enjoy the process. Whatever may want to prevent you from that enjoyment, that does not mean that you should be lackadaisical or you should be lazy. But I'm saying that even as you are hard working, create time to enjoy everything as a whole, doing what you love to do in the midst of all of that. That way, you'll be able to balance and yeah, you put through. All the best.
Oh, okay. I think I will round it up by saying only you can save yourself. So, in whatever scenario you find yourself, just know that if help is coming, it has to start with you. So you have to always like put yourself in a position where you can help yourself, and sometimes that might mean even you developing yourself in new skills, making yourself more valuable. Because even if your peer is a bad person, if you are super valuable to that lab, they will start acting good to you just because they don't want to lose you. Because they know there's something you can do that every other person in the lab, they put their head together, will not just be able to do it. So that might change their disposition to you. So that's what I would say. And thank you so much for joining us again. GB, I guess I'm owing you one game. I need to redeem myself. We need to set the match.
By the way, do you have a PS5 now?
Jimmy, don't shade me online. We are live. We are live. We are live. In case there's someone watching that want to buy me PS5, send a DM. I will be happy to. I'll be happy to send my PO box for the delivery. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow. I think tomorrow is the. I don't think tomorrow is the last day, and we'll be having some of our speakers back again. Promises to be brief. We're just going to use it to round up the whole event, and I wish you guys a Merry Christmas and Happy New